Hello and welcome back to the Painted Charge, episode 3 for the Sudan project that I'm working on. For those of you who've followed parts 1 and part 2 and have visited my channel, thank you very much for your support, and for the people who have subscribed to the channel. It's been a real pleasure to see people coming on, and the views on the videos so far. So as mentioned in the previous video, I thought on this one we would go through some of the terrain that I have made for the game. It's freestanding terrain. Not all of it is specifically for the demo game, but it is terrain that I will be using for games set in the Sudan. So it's just going to be a run through with the basic materials that I use for building this terrain. Yeah, so we'll start with the two largest hills that we've got here on the table. Both of these will be used in the game. This one here is an old piece of scenery from my War Games Club, which was looking a little bit sorry for itself. It's probably about 30 years old. And I took this particular piece of scenery away. It's built largely from cork, and it was roughly glued together. Basically, I used some sculpting mold, which for those of you who don't know, is sort of like a paper mache type filler. You mix it with water, and I bought this in a bag from Geek Gaming, who do a lot of the scenic stuff. Really good. You can buy this in some of the crafting shops, but it tends to be quite expensive. But they do it, the bags in different sizes, and it's quite reasonably priced. And if you go to Geek Gaming, again, I'm not out for this. I'm not being paid to say this or anything, but their stuff is good, and I think most war gamers are aware of this site. So yeah, do pay them a visit. You can get sculpting mold from them. So yeah, that's based on hardboard. Basically, I've just gone in with the sculpting mold in between the cork bark, big chunks, and filled it with the sculpting mold, and then totally repainted it. And this actual piece of terrain I used in my Mortal Gods demo game at Partisan to fill one of the corners, but it'll be ideal for the Sudan. Moving on to this piece of terrain, as you can see, this is another hill. This is definitely for Tamai. It's going to represent Sello Hill, which was at the northern end of the battlefield, close to the Zariba, where the British camped prior to the Battle of Tamai. So this actual hill will be representing a part of the terrain on the day. So again, it's built up largely with, instead of cork this time, these are plaster sections. You can buy rubber molds from a lot of model railway shops sell it from Woodland Scenics, and you can cast these rubber molds, latex molds, which you pour polyfiller into, and you allow it to dry, and then you can just pop out the sections of plaster, and you get some really nice stone effects, which when put against some polystyrene, this is high density polystyrene, the bulk of the hill is, and basically I've built round it with the plaster cast sections, and then again use the sculpting mold to fill in between the rocks to create a solid look to it. Just to show how versatile it is, you can actually place other pieces of terrain on top. This won't necessarily be here for the battle, but this is just a piece of broken ground to illustrate what you can do and how versatile this terrain can be. Once the demo game's been done, it can be used to still portray the desert in other battles. The other scenery that you can see in the foreground, again, this is general scatter scenery, but it does pertain slightly to Tamai. Looking at some of the paintings where the Kor Gub, where the dervishes attacked from, the Hedendara Beja tribesmen attacked from, has got like the lip of the gorge has got like some heavy rocks, and if you there's a few paintings actually showing similar rocks to this of this colour with the Beja tribemen kneeling and taking cover behind the rocks before rushing the British square. So these are easy to make up. Basically, the bases are constructed from EPVC. It's very similar to polystyrene foam board, which is, as we all know, has a foam polystyrene core and a paper covering on top. The difference with the EPVC is, for those who don't know, it's got more of a hard plastic interior, hard foam interior, and it is coated with plastic on either side. And you can buy this from eBay in blocks of say 12 sheets. It's easy to cut with a Stanley knife. But it doesn't warp. So yeah, these are all based on EPVC. They've held up very well. There's some resin rocks, and some of the rocks are carved from blue high density polystyrene. Again, you can buy this through eBay and other places, and probably Amazon, in blocks and sheets, and it does carve up very well, and it does take the paint very well. Again, I've used some of the sculpting mold to fill in the gaps between the rocks and various tufts. So yeah, these will be being used in the demo game. Looking over to the far side of the table, couple of pieces of terrain which I've built for generic games in the Sudan, and I think any Sudan table would be missing something if there wasn't an oasis of some sort. It's something to fight over. Likewise, the palm trees, if you're fighting near the Nile, you can have some bases with palm trees on, given that the area is quite a lot greener near to the river in places than others, and it just adds that extra dimension. So these basically, again, this is the actual oasis was made using the EPVC. I cut out the shape of the watering hole with a knife, and then glued another piece of EPVC underneath, and the rest of the model was built up with texture, with sculpting mold, and then with sand and rocks to make it look more realistic. I also repainted the palm trees just to make them look a little bit more not so plastic either and transparent. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more of this scenery to make, but the boards will dictate how much more I need. But I'm probably going to have to make some more of these, and perhaps some more large hills to go into the background. So yeah, there's still a lot of work to do, but it's a learning curve every time you make one of these. It's you make sure you keep if you can keep all your spare bits of plaster when it's dry. Break it up. Again, it makes good terrain cover. I tend to use birdcage sand for my base layers to make it look a bit more rugged. But you can add things like model railway ballast. There's different grades of that you can add to these rocks to make them look a little bit more interesting and give a bit more diversity in the size of the stones, instead of it all being one size. As for painting, again, I used the Americana craft paints for painting all these pieces rather than using my Vallejo paints. It's a lot cheaper way of doing it. The bottles come in at about £1.20 each, and you can get those from a lot of craft stores. Not mention any particular names, but you can get them quite cheaply, and they come in quite a diverse range of colours, which is ideal for doing this. So yeah, it's just a case of experimenting with what you see and what you want, looking at colour photographs of the desert in the Sudan, and you do get quite a bit of diversity in the colours in the sand and the stones that are there. So yeah, that's the way to go with that for me. There will be, as I say, there will be more scenery coming along, and some buildings which I'm going to be using for get other Sudan games, of course. So some adobe buildings to represent that. that really covers it. If you've got any further questions that you'd like to ask, please leave a comment. Before we go, those eagle-eyed of you may have noticed there is a figure on the table. At the end of the video, there will be some still shots of him. This is my war correspondent. He goes back quite a way. And about 10-15 years ago, I played in the Franco-Prussian War campaign, and we had an Irish war correspondent by the name of Seamus O'Booze. And I've brought him back to life for this, because he's going to be covering the campaign for the Irish Illustrated Gazette. So he's been around the world following war. So he's rocked up in the Sudan with his faithful servant Cartman. Yeah, you'll be seeing him in some of the battles that we have in the future. So yeah, be prepared for some shots at the end. So hope you're going to enjoy this one. It's quite brief, but I hope you can see where there's still a lot of work going on, and there'll be more to come. And if you like what you see, please, if you could subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and a like really goes a long way, and it's encouraging for me to carry on. When I see people are liking I'm doing the right thing. And if you've got any suggestions, please leave those in the comments as well. So until the next video, I hope you enjoy this one, and see you in the next one. Bye.